I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I didn't really want to make this video, okay? I think that it's very difficult to do a deep dive on barracks towers in general. I feel like they are designed to stall and not to do damage. So there's not really a good way for me to math out the stall ability of any of the barracks towers in general. So how do I decide how good they are? Well, we can talk about their damage. We can talk about their cost to damage comparison here. We can talk about their abilities a little bit if they actually do something extra. But I cannot give you a very good efficiency rating that actually makes sense by the end of this video. All I can tell you is how things maybe compare against each other a little bit. So if you're angry by the end of this video and say, Chris, you did a terrible job on it, I'm sorry. I didn't even want to make this video. I did it because you guys kept asking for it. So, let's jump in here. First of all, the cost. You just got the first 4 tiers here. There's their cost. The average damage that this tower does. And really, just remember that this average damage that I'm talking about here is the number here kind of added together divided by 2. And then what I do is I take that times the speed of attacks, which in this case is going to be 1 times per second, but multiplied by 3 guys. So even though it says 60 here, we are going to take that into consideration when we multiply that by 3 when we get our damage per minute. So this is going to be that 60 times 2 times also 3. That's what gives us these numbers here. So that's the damage per minute that we can do with these towers. And of course, that does not involve any sort of stalling aspects whatsoever. That is just how much damage we are doing, okay? So this gives us an efficiency of an actually pretty freaking good. Now, of course, this does not take into consideration that you can die, okay? We can die. If our guys die, we lose out on all of that damage, okay? But seemingly, as long as you die within a pretty reasonable frequency to each other, you're probably doing close to, I don't know, 60%, 70, 80% of that total damage here, because you kind of cycle through the guys a little bit. They also always don't die at the exact same time here. So, I don't know. This is a pretty good number, actually. Believe it or not, around 4 is usually a pretty good number for just damage doing. That doesn't take into consideration at all, again, the stall ability. So having something do that much damage and also be able to stall is kind of absurd. According to this, the Paladin Covenant is actually quite great. If the guys stay alive for a reasonable amount of time, it's good. That doesn't tell the entire story. So I have one other number here that I just completely made up, okay? I just decided to play the game with barracks towers wherever I felt like I wanted to put them. I just asked, how long can we survive before we lose 5 lives? Okay, and I got a random number here of 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay, so if you want to compare that to any of the other barracks towers like a Demon Pit or a Grim Wraith or a Rocket Gunner, I will have that in future videos. But for now, 2:15 is a pretty reasonable-ish number. Just put it that way, okay? So that does not tell the entire story. Either there's one other thing we got to talk about, which is the left side upgrade. So I want to point out that I do not want to talk about this at all, okay? Healing is something that you cannot really beat. It's the fact that you are almost invincible, and all of those numbers that we talked about at the top here, the efficiency rating, is basically going to happen. Okay, if you get these to happen, but it's going to cost you more money to make it happen, so it makes the efficiency go down by doing that. So anyways, I don't really want to talk about it too much. It's too difficult to actually try to math out. It's more just a feeling, and I can tell you that the feeling is I would probably get it up to 1 level. Probably wouldn't get it up to 2 or 3 levels because I feel like I just want the guys to survive a little bit longer. I think that heal will get us to where we want to be. It doesn't really help me that much to get it most of the time. So I don't know. It's kind of difficult for me. Any which way, we do have to talk about the left side here, the lead by example, which is a weird one because it gets rid of a regular guard and it gives you a super guard basically. Oh my god, look at all these freaking guys here, dude. This is insanity. There's so many. We just have stalled them forever but never killed any of them. So when you actually get one of these lead by example guys, they are going to be a smidge stronger. I mean, 198 to 220 is really not a big deal. 10 to 14 damage, so still going to be the same amount of damage here, but he can go up in damage and increase all the people around you. Now, to be honest, when we look at these numbers here, you're going to notice the speed is 0.33. What the heck does that mean? Well, what it means is we are active for 33% of the time, roughly. Because we activate for about 8 seconds, and it takes about 20 seconds for the next activation. So we're activated about 33%. Please, please, please don't judge me too hard on that, okay? But the damage that we're getting is only 20% of a bonus. So what I did was I took a Grim Wraith, which is probably the highest damage doing barracks guy in the game. If you look at it, just like 6 to 10 at level 2 already. I mean, you just compare these guys, you're like, oh, okay, kind of makes sense, right? If we took a tier 4 Grim Wraith, for example, though, and we said how much bonus damage does that give us? 20% bonus on top, so we get 224 damage, and if that is the case, our efficiency is 0.8. So clearly way lower. Higher is better in this situation, so 5 and 4 is pretty solid, but 0.9 is not very good. But this does not involve heroes. So heroes are really where it's all at. If you're using the heroes to get that bonus damage, if you're using, you know, maybe a couple tier 4 Grim Wraiths on top of each other, maybe you got a bundle of other guys somewhere to do something with these things, sure, this guy can be pretty okay. But to be honest, based on what I'm seeing right here, it'd be very tricky to actually make him worthwhile in most situations. You're probably better off just going for a bunch of tier 4s, or just, believe it or not, spamming the base tier Paladins, because they seemingly are the most efficient of them all. So in the deep dive, kind of like to finish this all off here, how should you use Paladin Covenants? Well, generally, you probably want to use them at the lowest level that you can. As a tier 4 here, you're going to have a 5.53 efficiency. That's pretty absurd. Of course, your guys are going to die a little more often, and obviously have less armor and all that other stuff. So will it actually make sense to build them up to just tier 1? Believe it or not, kind of. If you have a lot of tower slots available, and you just want to say, screw it, I'm going to stall things a little bit, Paladin Covenants kind of across the board here that don't end up having guys heal is probably the best way for you to play the game. But, of course, it just really is difficult to talk about. Okay, it's so hard to say, in this situation, that situation, but in this situation, that situation. It's ridiculous. Paladin Covenants are good, overall. Use them how you feel like they should be used. But according to the numbers, this is what they say. The bottom paths, or the lower tiers, are the better ones, and the higher tiers are a little bit worse. And then lead by example is probably something you don't want to use unless you are going absolutely insane with guys all around you here, and or using your heroes in combination to make it all work together. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you press the like button for me, make sure you subscribe, and of course have a super duper delicious day.